Well, thank you, Mr. Pete, for that glorious introduction to today's video on Andertons TV! Where if ELO were here plugging their new single, Mr. Blue Sky, they would tell you to like and subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell, because then you'll never miss a thing, just like Aerosmith.
I tell you what, this is becoming the same thing as the stick in, you know, in BBC when they go, some say his sister used to work at whatever.
Right.
It was.
So, earlier this year, it is 2021, earlier this year, the people at Universal Audio announced that they were bringing out some guitar pedals. Universal Audio is a brand that if you're, you know, a studio engineer, you are probably familiar with, and they make all the kind of the best stuff in the sort of the digital plug-in world.
And outboard gear as
and
well.
Outboard.
Hardware,
but it's very, very high-end kind of gear. So they've kind of come into the guitar world, and they've released 3 pedals that I think are aimed at trying to break into the dominatrix world of Strymon. So Strymon, synonymous again with really being the go-to kind of pro stomp pedals for guitar players over the last 10 years or so. So we thought we would do some comparison videos. We have a UA Golden Reverberator, which is going to be the simplest one to kind of A/B against the Strymon, because the Blue Sky Reverberator kind of has the most similar features. And we have over here we have a Universal Audio Starlight, which is their delay machine. This is a little bit more complicated because Strymon you'd need to buy 2 or 3 Strymon pedals to get like an exact. So whereas the UA one has 1 pedal with some tape, some analog and some digital delay settings in it, or algorithms in it. In the Strymon mode, you've got sort of El Capistan doing more the tape thing, the Dig doing more the digital thing, and then you've even got things like Volantes and
the Brigadier.
Deco
You're looking into the timeline if you want something that does, but then it's much more. I mean, in this format, 2 button switches, no MIDI, right?
That's everybody's saying,
oh, no MIDI, but that's because the format this is what they're going for. Maybe, maybe Universal Audio is just going to make a bigger one that's got MIDI. Hey, who knows?
But that's what we kind of... So we're intentionally not comparing it to things like the Big Sky or the Timeline, or the Mobius for that matter, because they're MIDI and programmable and a bit more money as well. And we're kind of not comparing it to the new Walrus Mako stuff or DD200, 200 series Boss stuff, because we're just sort of going, really... These 2 pedals here are for the guitar player that just wants to put a simple reverb pedal on their board and have the best reverb sound they can get without needing to know how to do programming and MIDI and all that kind of stuff. So here we go. The setup today is Pete's guitar going into a splitter by Layla. Splitter! The splitter then goes into the DP40 on one side and the V140 on the other. So 2 similarly voiced, clean guitar amplifiers.
With the reverb turned off, just so you know.
He says, just looking at that to make sure. He's done that. It's not his first rodeo.
Well.
Each effects loop, bizarrely, then goes into the quartermaster. That's why we've got 2 quartermasters. So we've got a left and a right kind of signal chain going on here. If I hit these 2 buttons down, it's going into the left and right signal of the Golden Reverberator. And if I hit these 2, it's going into the left and right of the Blue Sky. The pedals will work in mono as well. So, but we're just doing stereo because we can. So the first thing that you heard at the beginning were each pedal in their spring reverb modes.
Say that quickly.
Yes, so let's just get back in. You can see how I've set these up. So the knobs on each one are not in the same position, and that's because it feels like the Golden Reverberator's just got generally more delay, more reverb and more of a mix. So they're a little bit dialed back, whereas the Blue Sky is a little bit dialed up to kind of match it. But the EQ is pretty flat, and the pre-delay we've removed from both pedals, or we've got set very low on both pedals. And you can see on the Strymon, it's spring reverb in its normal mode, and in the Golden Reverberator, it's spring reverb in its, that has 3 modes, bright, smooth and ambient. So we're in its bright mode for now.
Yeah.
Can we just have a little?
You can. I mean, we probably need to do this. I'm just on a split setting on this coil here as well.
And the Blue Sky?
Much more of a...
A little bit more clangy. Back to the UA. Okay, let's get into some things. I should just say, I think it's kind of incredible that Strymon, despite the fact that the Blue Sky now is, I think it's just had its 8th birthday.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And it's still a phenomenally popular and category kind of leading pedal for reverb. So congrats to Strymon. And I have had sort of confirmed, as much as I can have confirmed, that there are no immediate plans to replace the Blue Sky. So it's, you know,
it's a great pedal still, you know.
So let's kind of maybe turn it up a little bit. Let's see kind of how kind of crazy can it go. So here's a more extreme setting on the Blue Sky. I like the sounds, very warm.
It sounds lovely.
And
I mean,
then we'll
nothing
do the
wrong with it.
Same on here. So again, wind the decay up a little bit on the Golden Reverberator.
It's definitely more on that one.
More clangy, isn't it?
It's more...
Right.
Is the modulation on there?
Nope. The second setting here is the smooth setting. So it's, if you want to take some of that very bright reverb off of it, you put it into mode B.
It's lovely and drippy. I mean, if that's even a thing, lovely and drippy. And I didn't laugh for at least 2 seconds. But I think what I sort of can tell from, I know this is up to you to make your decision. This is not up to us to have a favorite. When I listen to it, I think the Strymon sounds the same on every drip.
Right.
Where maybe the other one is a little bit more.
Do that again then. So let's do it.
So just a. It's got all of them. They're all similar.
Yeah. I mean,
you know what I mean?
For me, the Strymon is. I mean, I actually really like the sound of the Strymon, but it's very. It's almost like it's had all the top end filtered out of it. It's of the reverb, not of the guitar set.
But the springiness on the Strymon is the same.
Right.
Where the other one seems like it's a real spring. Because a real spring in a real amp would not be the same. It would have imperfection in it. But that's just my ear. So I don't know what you think.
I must admit,
but they sound amazing for 8 years old.
A little bit over the top to me in terms of just the amount of reverb. So I'm going to just dial that back.
Yeah.
One last thing before we move on. I'm just now putting this in its ambient mode, which may give it a little bit more of a stereo spread. This obviously doesn't have those different modes. So here we go.
It certainly wants to go
too
more,
much.
Right? That's definitely too much.
Strymon.
Yeah.
I like them both.
I like
Now,
them both. I mean,
I'm going to take the mix down substantially on both, and we're just going to bump in a distortion pedal.
Okay. There's a gunshot.
So we go back to the UA.
I mean, they do sound very similar.
Do you know what's a bit disconcerting on the... And let me see if the Strymon does this one as well. On the UA one, every time I touch the knob, it like resets the effect back to nothing again. So it's not like you're... let me show you what I mean.
Oh, so it stops it?
Yeah. It's quite, I know whether it's quite disconcerting actually when you're trying to just find where you like the spot. Let me see if the Strymon does that.
It won't do. No,
it doesn't.
I think so.
Anywho,
we are running these in the mode that we're running in.
True bypass,
it's true bypass. So I can imagine, you know, like the trails are not on. So I think as soon as we get it, we don't have the app yet. There will be an app where you can go and do stuff inside. You know, and I think if you put it in bypass mode, that will just be
buffered bypass.
Yeah, buffered bypass.
Maybe.
Yeah,
we'll have to have UA to comment on that as to
I guarantee that's what it is.
Right. Next mode, in order to get modulated reverb, you would switch the Strymon to a different mode. Whereas I believe on the UA, assuming it now this tells me if it so I just literally I leave it on the spring mode. But I just turn the modulation up.
Yeah.
So here is the UA with a bit of modulation on its reverb.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that. I like that too.
I like that too, yeah. I mean, they're both very similar.
Good reverbs,
I'm not
aren't they?
sure that I prefer the... I don't prefer the spring on the Strymon. It's too same for me all the way. It's not like a spring in a real spring that'll you know, you don't really know where you have it because it's a real piece of mechanical stuff. But anyway,
now the mode that's probably going to be more difficult to shoot out. So the sort of we have a plate reverb on each pedal, which is fine. We can shoot that out.
Yeah.
Then we've got a shimmer reverb on the Strymon, which we don't have on the Golden Reverberator. And then we have a room mode versus a hall mode on here, and there's a fourth one, isn't there, on the
There
UA,
is a fourth one. Yeah, it'll say in there. That's things you get when you as soon as you register them.
So it's the fourth one is called a chamber and plate. So again, still isn't really like there isn't a room sense. I mean, I wonder if a small hall is a room.
I'm not keen on room.
A small hall.
Yeah,
it's just a room.
Small if you turn it down.
We're going to go to plate now on both into its normal mode. So plate and see what we like here. I'm going to turn the modulation down and off. So here's the Golden Reverberator. Oh, I love plate reverb.
Do you want to marry it?
It's so clean.
Oh, that's weighty, isn't it?
It's huge, isn't it? And let's try the Strymon. it's not.
It doesn't
as clean.
have the weighty.
It's not as clean.
It doesn't have the fatness. I mean, did you know that Universal Audio is actually Universal Studios when they did the film back in the way back. They had to develop their own thing when they started doing voice on films. Well, so that's where they started.
Both companies got amazing heritage. I mean, the Strymon guys, if I remember, there's some going back into early Line 6 and then Damage Control and then into the Strymon thing. So, both these companies have been in the world of digital since almost its inception. I don't know what it is, so just do that. It's so clean.
And it's so fat.
It's not the same sound, really, is it? Let's just try and. That's better. That's quite freaky, isn't it? I don't know what
leave that as it is, and then I think you should.
It's that there's a sort of a funny overtone, isn't there?
It's digital. There's something that is digitally to my ears. It's a digitally.
I mean, almost like there's a tone in there somehow, like a note.
The tone is not there.
It's not there.
More reverb, a bit more sort of volume or level on there, just so we can get a bit. It's so big and fat. You know what it reminds me of? If you have an IR loader and you do one IR and you go, oh, that sounds great, and you go to the next one and go, oh, that's a bit thin. Yeah. You know, that's thin. It's got this thinness to it that it's not. Yeah.
I don't know if it's. I don't know if thin is the right word. There's a note in the Strymon one which, for whatever reason, is not in the. Now it sounds like it's got modulation in it, but I haven't switched it into modulation mode.
Check this out. Then it's almost too fat. When I'm playing chords, then it kind of overtakes the. It's almost like it's too big, but it's too fat. The Universal Audio.
Actually, what are the modes of plate on this? Let's have a little look. So the modes of plate on here are handy. Plate 1, 2, and 3. Well, who knows which one's the best one then? So, but here is modulation on both pedals. I can play that all day.
It's beautiful.
All day. It's a bit over the top for anything other than instrumental guitar.
Oh yeah, you drown in the band.
But it's all day. And then the UA. Can I just say, I think Strymon does the modulation better.
Put some top end on it. On the reverb, yeah.
Actually, there isn't really a control for it.
Can you turn a little bit, or you go back to the UA and just turn it up a bit to give us more. I mean, they both sound great, but the Strymon.
I'm trying to see. There's no.
Strymon sounds great, man.
There's no USB or anything on the Strymon in the sense of, so there's no way to update the firmware or anything. It just is what it is. Whereas, of course, on the Golden Reverberator, you will be able to update firmware over time. So to a certain degree, I suppose that probably limits the Strymon's appeal. But
it sounds great.
It still does sound, I mean...
Why wouldn't you have... I mean, that is up to whoever thinks that's best, isn't it?
It is. I think on both. I think one of the things I'm hearing, I think even with the mix turned up more on the UA, the clarity of the guitar note is more.
Yes, I agree.
Prevalent within the mix.
Yeah.
I've got to say, I mean, it's. I don't think it matters how old the technology is. A good sound is always a good sound.
Yep.
And the Strymon sounds great.
It does.
So I suppose, really, I think Pete and I didn't really want to get drawn too much on, like, oh, this one's better or this one's better or whatever, because that's such a subjective thing.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, features-wise, they're very similar in the sense, both of them have this idea. You can have a stored preset plus, obviously, what your basic wherever the knobs are set. There probably are one or two extra things on the UA, and the fact that it's got the USB does mean that it is going to be updatable.
And there's Bluetooth in there.
Yeah. Whereas the Strymon's a little bit more what it does out the box. That's it. I mean, look, let's do its room reverb versus like its hall. So room on here versus hall on here, and I'll just dial the hall in a bit, I guess, and just see what happens. So here's the room.
Hall and Oates.
Hall and Oates, yeah. So normal. Here we go. It's a big room.
It's a very big room.
That's bigger than the room I was thinking it would be. Okay, so maybe they're not that different. It's the same again. That initial attack on the guitar which I'm sure is more prevalent on the UA. The Strymon seems to just take some of that. So it's almost kind of like, it's quite a pleasant listening thing, but it's maybe just hasn't got that clarity.
I mean, there's something for everyone in pedals, and the great thing is that there's two pedals that are not actually the same, because what would the point in that be? You buy which one you think is good for you, and whichever tones you like. I think the fatness and the as you say, the tone that comes out in the Universal Audio ones just...
Oh, I'm being an idiot. Okay, so mode A in hall mode here is room mode.
Ah, well, there you go, Lee.
The advantage of reading a manual. So actually, okay, so it does have a way of... So these are both actually room reverbs now. A little bit more, maybe?
A bit more? Wow, they sound similar.
Yeah, there's very little in that.
And I think this is where, because these are, algorithms, where the spring is kind of, they're trying to make it to sound like a spring, you know what I mean? And that is just different. I mean, it's nice. It's still got that shimmery thing on the top, hasn't it?
Well, okay, so let's see. Here is the shimmer mode on the Strymon. I've put it on the spring mode, a spring reverb and shimmer. As far as I'm aware, and I'm sure if enough people on the user forums go, please can we have a shimmer mode on there, they'll just release a USB upgrade that'll add shimmer to it. But right now it doesn't. So here's shimmer on the Strymon.
I wouldn't put that as a spring.
Not my favourite, no.
I would put that in a hole or like a plate instead.
Okay.
Yeah.
bit of a weird effect, that one, isn't
I'm
it?
not. This
I quite
Shimmer
like
for me,
Shimmer as a, but not. It's not the most usable.
I like
thing.
this. I like the way the Slow does the Shimmer. Because
Yes.
it's a different kind of big old open. Let's just try to maximum up on the biggest reverb on the UA and see what kind of, you know, in the ambient setting, because that might be a little bit shimmery.
Oh,
a little
I see.
bit of, you know, I'm just
So you
going to
wanna
see
try
if we can
and
get
see-
some kind of shimmer out of it.
Okay.
Just because we're here.
On the plate, probably.
And then some little bit of modulation. No, we can't do the shimmer,
doesn't
but
do
it
shimmer.
sounds bloody great though, doesn't it?
Interesting. So look, executive decision here because of the length of time this video has already taken. We're
Yeah.
going to do the Starlight versus the delay pedals in a
yeah.
different video.
Yeah.
Um,
It's difficult to say. If you don't need the shimmer,
I think
Yeah.
that, I mean,
what's the price difference, Lee, between these two?
not loads. I mean, the Blue Sky, you get change out of £300. The Golden Reverberator's at the $350 mark, so it is a little bit dearer.
Yeah.
It's a little bit bigger. Well, bigger this way. It's probably marginally narrower this way.
Probably you got features such as that, as the, you know, there's got Bluetooth in there. You know, it's got the USB-C output, which they're talking about could potentially be used as a MIDI thing at some point. You know, so
Do you know what I think? Again, look, you guys make up your own mind about what you
Yeah,
like. I think
exactly.
my gut feeling was, if I already had the Strymon Blue Sky, I'm not sure I'd be rushing out to change it. But if I didn't have one and I was just wanting to buy one, I think there's enough on the UA to give that the edge.
exactly, I think so too. I think so too. Or if you're looking for a different, you know, if you had the Blue Sky for a long, long time, you listen, I want a bit of a different. Because to me, they're actually different enough to, if you got the money, you could have both. Because one is the spring on one I like better than.
Do you want to hear one into the other? No, we can literally have one onto the other. No,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, look,
But there
thank
we go.
you
What do you
very
think?
much.
What do you think?
Yeah, what do you think? I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, is this, you know, a Strymon still,
King?
you know, king of the castle, king of the hill for you, or are you you know, are they going to knock them off their perch? But there we are. Anyway, we'll just reconvene in another video soon. And if you want to know when the Starlight versus El Capistan video, you could always, you know, tick the old notification bell down below and ping.
Our becomes.
You'll never miss it.
And there will be, if you're watching this and you are subscribed, then up here there'll be a little, comes out, top, pop, click it.
Right. See you later, everybody. Bye-bye.